Today is Saturday, February 11th, 2017. I'm Mark Simon of the Silver Lake History Collective. Marco Larson is with me on camera. We're here for the 50th anniversary rally commemorating the 1967 Black Cat protest. Here, in front of the bar, before the rally begins, people are reenacting that demonstration. Let's speak with some of the demonstrators participating in tonight's reenactment.
Hi, my name is Mark, and we're doing interviews for the Silver Lake History Collective, and I love your outfit, and I love your sign. Could you tell us, do you have about your sign and what the meaning of your sign is?
Right. So abolish arbitrary arrests. I mean, at the time, people felt like they were being just arbitrarily arrested for things like kissing each other in a bar. And when they did this, we were reenacting a particular event here. When they registered this protest at the time, 50 years ago, they were actually not allowed to speak. They were not allowed to touch the street.
When you say they, who do you mean?
The people who were protesting for 50 years ago, they were not allowed to speak. They were not allowed to touch the street, or they would be arrested. They were not allowed to stop, or they would be loitering. So they had to keep moving. That's why we're moving here. So we're recreating exactly what happened 50 years ago. And there are people in this walking right now who were here 50 years ago. There's a couple of people.
Wow, yes.
Who
Alexi Romanoff.
Yes, he's going to speak later, but there's a couple more people also.
Wow,
Yeah, who are locals.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Thank you.
Yes.
You look great, and
Thank
keep
you
it up.
So much.
Now
Thank you.
get
Okay,
back
I'll
on the
get back on
sidewalk,
there. Thank you very much.
or we'll arrest you. I wanted to ask you particularly about your signs.
Okay.
What could you tell us about your blue fascism must go?
Well, we were celebrating Valentine's Day, and we just decided to come into LA. We heard about it from Palm Springs. And this was like a history lesson. We've been very active. We participated in the Women's March already in D.C., and this was specifically going to this sign. This reminds me of the stories we heard about Stonewall and the police raiding the bars after everyone was having a good time at night. And so, that's what this means.
And the signs these
are replications of the signs that were used at that time. So they actually created them for us and had us pick what we wanted, and this one kind of resonated with us. So
great.
Yeah.
Why? How does it resonate with you?
This resonates with me in kind of the times. This is what scares me right now. That possibly people are going to start raiding our bars or harassing us, and so that's what it is for me. What do you think, babe?
I agree. Yeah, I mean it's something that didn't really go away. Like in a lot of parts of the country, it's still something people deal with. So it definitely resonates then and today as well.
Okay.
Well, I led the demonstration 50 years ago. I think I should be here today, and if I can be, I'll be here in the 75th anniversary.
How did you feel when the first protests were happening?
Angry, fearful, and desiring all of my constitutional rights.
And what do you feel changed with all of these protests?
Well, just look, there are police officers here right now who are not harassing us, but welcoming us and protecting us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'll get both of you. Come on, jump off the line for a minute. And tell us about your signs.
I think they say it is, what it is, that no abuse for our rights and dignity. My 13th great-grandfather came here in the 1600s, and otherwise I'm a second-class citizen without, our rights. So
And are these
dignified.
Are these actual? Were these signs part of the actual event? These are
these are replicas of those that were in the actual event. Most everything here was replicas of the event.
All the signs that don't look like a new message are the original messages from what was here. So when you think about what people were worried about 50 years ago, and it doesn't really seem all that different from what a lot of people, maybe not us, are worried about now. So I think And
you think gay people don't have much to worry about now?
I think gay people still have plenty to worry about, but I think other people have a lot to worry about too that maybe we didn't think about too much maybe 3 months ago. So the message seems unfortunately still timely.
Yes, it does. It certainly does. Well, thank you. Okay, Robin, we've got Robin Podolsky here for the Silver Lake History Collective. We're, of course, recording the event. What does all this mean to you? Tell us about your feelings about the event.
It's a commemoration of our queer ancestors in 1968, a year before Stonewall, after a terrible beating in this bar. There was queer blood on the street. People set up a nonviolent picket line right here. This is a reenactment of that. And look how far we've come. But they were the pioneers who were very brave.
Okay.
Those people have made my life possible.
Okay, thank you, Robin. Now get back on the sidewalk or we'll arrest you. As they weren't allowed to walk on the sidewalk then. Are you here for this event?
I'm here for this event. We're here to support our colleague and a member of this community. Her name is Maria Roman and Karina Samala, and we're part of the various different coalitions here in town. The Transgender Coalition, TSPN,
great,
as well as the Transgender Advisory Council of Los Angeles under the supervision of Mr. Garcetti.
So we've got some dignitaries here.
Yes.
So how is she your colleague?
How is Maria our colleague?
Yes.
All of us work in the transgender community. So she's one of the housing coordinators for APIT that helps house trans women and men here in Los Angeles.
Right, great. And what do you know about the history of the Black Cat riot, the police riot? Were there trans people there?
Yeah, well, I know for a fact that trans women at this time, it was not legal for them to be outside their house dressed in women's clothing. As a matter of fact, it was called harboring a disguise, to be walking on the street in full regalia. So it was illegal and it was dangerous.
And what year was this?
This was 1967.
67.
Yeah.
Okay, well, and is it okay if we post this on the YouTube channel? Great,
Johanna had something to say.
I mean, as a youth, it's really nice to just learn about our history and be a part of this new movement that's coming out because of our history.
That's great. Well, get back in there and protest.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks for stopping.
Thank you.
Can we get you off the line for a minute?
Why not?
Sure. So, could you tell us about your sign and what brings you here?
What brings me here is I heard about it, and I'm from New York, so I only heard about Stonewall. And then when I heard about this, I said, I got to be a part of this.
When did you hear about it?
Last night.
For the first time?
For the first time. I heard about it last night, because I live in Torrance. So it's not, but we still don't have the rights. And with the people that are going into office or who are in office, I'm scared, but I'm not going back in the closet, at all.
Good.
So,
No one wants you to, at least we don't. Can I grab you for an interview, a quick interview? Come on off the line for a minute. Tell us about your sign and what brings you here.
Well, it's also the reason I'm coming back because I used to go ahead and attend the Black Cat in the late 70s. So I'm one of the last kids, I guess, still remaining. So I brought my husband. So we met just down the street over here. So this used to be our neighborhood place to hang out. So if we needed to support and celebrate the 50th anniversary, that's why we're here.
Yeah, well, that's
great. Because let also know that we were also 2 years ahead of schedule of Stonewall. Okay, we were hollering before Stonewall started stoning.
Great. Well,
Thank you.
And we brought our children. We brought our son tonight.
Wow.
Who's gay. He came with his boyfriend, so
so he's online as well.
He's right over there.
Okay, great. Well,
thank you.
Get back online. Thank you.
Peace in Silver Lake.
Peace in Silver Lake.
It's good to see so many of y'all out there tonight.
Yeah.
Those phone trees must have worked. Phone tree. I want to thank y'all for coming out here to support each other, to support each other's struggle for our rights. Our rights in the city of Los Angeles. Our rights in America. And our rights in the world. Boy, the 60s seem to be changing a lot of us. Look at all them mini skirts and peace signs. I never in my life imagined I'd be up in front of a bunch of people giving a speech. Now y'all gotta be careful tonight. You cannot let me see any of those flyers touching the concrete. No littering. And when you're on your way back to your cars, don't stop even for a second. No loitering. And that's right, baby. And also, not too loud. Because we don't want to be accused of disturbing the peace. Now, do we? Because I don't have to tell you that the cops are here tonight. So no littering, no loitering, and no loud sounds. What happened at the Black Cat on New Year's was wrong, immoral, sinful, a disgrace. I was one of 16 taken to jail, thrown into a paddy wagon like a dog, captured by a dog catcher. I never in my life imagined I'd have the balls to leave Marietta, Georgia, to come out here to California, of all places. The land of the fruits and nuts. I didn't come out here to be a movie star like Rock Hudson. I came out here to be me. I wound up living in Silver Lake. Seemed like a safe place to settle down. Ronald Reagan, another movie actor who couldn't act, he was elected governor at the end of last year. Now, you know there are 80 gay bars in Los Angeles, and 12 of them are in Silver Lake. And the Rampart Division decided to use us gays to give Ronnie some stature as the governor. I never in my life imagined I'd consider a gay bar, the Black Cat Tavern, my home away from home. When preparations for New Year's Eve were being made, I was one of the first to volunteer. Well, there is a young man, I won't say his name, but let's just say I call him Willie Boy. He asked me to be on the decorating committee. Well, I never in my life imagined that someone as handsome as Willie Boy would be giving me the eye as the hands of the clock inch toward New Year's. At the stroke of midnight, Willie Boy threw his arms around me and gave me a kiss. The length of that kiss would be significant, but all I could remember was the wet heat of Willie Boy's lips melting every part of my body. Amidst the squeals of Happy New Year, there were suddenly squeals of pain. Blood splashed on the shiny aluminum foil clocks we made, turning them as red as a stoplight. Willie Boy tried to protect me, but some butch number cracked my head open. The crunching sound of that baton against my skull has revisited me over and over. Turns out it was a cop. Blood drenched my clothes, but clothes can be washed. The permanent hate stain remains. I never in my life imagined I would spend the night in the hoosegow. Apparently, men kissing men falls under lewd conduct. I was charged with kissing 2 to 3 seconds. Maybe it wouldn't have been considered lewd if it had only been for 1 second. Our attorneys advised us that we could deny we'd been kissing or argue that we'd been entrapped, pleading to a lesser charge. But no, we could not do that. Y'all hear me? For the first time in history, my friends, the first time in the history of these United States of America, we argued that gay men should be treated equally as straight men. If it was legal for straight people to kiss, then it was our constitutional right to kiss. The court didn't buy it. Fuck them. But they even refused to hear that we'd been assaulted. And the lewd conduct charge? I never in my life imagined I'd be registered as a sex offender for the remainder of my life because of a kiss. A precious kiss. As the clock struck midnight and my brothers and I were struck by police batons and angry fists, they cannot beat the gay out of us. Who we kiss is not on trial tonight. What's on trial is police brutality. This demonstration is not about gay or straight. This demonstration is about our constitutional rights. Even though I'd like to plant a kiss on every one of you who showed up here tonight, that'd be illegal. But I hope that the day comes when I can kiss you all openly, with all of my heart. But in the meantime, I'm just gonna blow y'all some kisses. And I hope you blow back. I'd like to introduce my friend and one of the organizers of tonight's event, Alexi Romanoff.
This reminds me of something. You know, I didn't organize tonight's event, but I did organize another event 50 years ago on this night. The spirit is still here. And I'm depending on all of you to go on and carry this forward. Because tonight, a police officer came over, shook my hand, and said, "Thank you." And all the advances we have made, it's by our own tugging. We're like a little irritant that has to be scratched.
Yeah.
And we want to be scratched.
Yep.
We want to be treated equally.
Yeah.
We want to be valued. We're valuable citizens. And our Constitution tells us that we're equal under the law. Today I am married to the man that I love. But all of you who are younger than me out there, and it's probably all of you, it's going to be on your shoulders. It's going to be up to you to carry the fight forward. It's up to you to elect the right officials. It's up to you to give them your support. And look around at the officials who are here tonight, because they support us. And we need support. We're not a majority. But when the people realize that they love us, because we make their clothing and do their hair, and do all of these little things, they can't do without us. So we have to make ourselves valuable. And how do you make yourself valuable? You make yourself valuable by voting. You make yourself valuable by acting up. For the underdog, as well as yourself. Don't let them build a wall. We need everybody. I went up years ago to Delano with organizers for the grape strike. And I saw how those people were treated. And I saw children working as stoop laborers. And I made a decision then to act up in their behalf, because they couldn't do it for themselves. So we have to do what's appropriate, not leaving any person out because of their religion or non-religion or the color of their skin or their ethnic background. Unless we were Native Americans, we came over here as immigrants. And even if we were Native American, they came over from Asia as immigrants. We are important to each other. We are important to the way we treat each other, to do away with the nasty jokes. So there are cross-dressers today instead of drag queens, and that's important. There are transgender instead of transsexuals, because it has nothing to do with your sex. And there are people who will support us and people who will go against us. But we have to do is stay united. And let me hear you. I can't hear you. I still can't hear you. Thank you. wrote something before I came up here. It's nice to be acknowledged, but I didn't do it. For what I did it for was not an acknowledgement. What I did it for was my own freedom and your freedom, and the organizers who are no longer alive, and the people I learned from as a young person are still here in spirit because you're carrying their spirit. Henning, founder of the artistic directors of the Blank Theater and organizer of tonight's celebration, Daniel. I hope to be here for the 75th.
Wow. Thank you all very much for being here. I'm stunned. I'm so thrilled that you're here. And I have to say that I'm actually most thrilled that I just got to be introduced by that man. If it weren't for Alexi and the other brave souls that made this original demonstration happen 50 years ago, I would not be afforded the life I lead today as an out and proud gay man. Thank you, Alexi, and those who are here tonight who had been to the Black Cat, and those who we've already lost. Thank you all. Thank you for coming out tonight to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Black Cat protest. It's important to celebrate what happened 50 years ago and the rights we've gained since. But I'm also glad that tonight will be a conversation about what we might be losing in the near future if certain members of the current regime get their way. We need to fight hard to preserve what we have achieved. We need to resist forces that want to take our rights from us. And when I say we and us, I am not just talking about the LGBTQ community. I'm talking about all of us. We must persist. We must resist. I am a neighbor here. For over 2 decades, I've lived around the corner, and I have always known about the Black Cat and its LGBTQ history. And I've also known that most other people don't know that history. That little cat face that sits on top of the sign, it's always been there since 1966. Even though the original Black Cat Tavern only lived for a few months, the cat remains sitting there like the Cheshire Cat of Silver Lake. I always thought of him as our neighborhood guardian angel, looking out for our community and our neighbors and making sure that the progress we've made here in human rights does not regress. He's still here, and so are we. I conceived this evening as a way to make sure that others get to know the story of the Black Cat, which was the first major LGBTQ civil rights demonstration in the nation. 2.5 years before Stonewall. I'm not sure how those New York queers stole our thunder, but they did. What happened there was significant and should be celebrated, no doubt. But what happened here is just as significant and laid the groundwork for all that came after. But we would not have a true means to have this conversation today if it weren't for Charlie Conrad, Lindsay Kennedy, and Dean Malouf, the owners of the modern Black Cat. These 3 straight boys chose to name their restaurant and bar after the original Black Cat Tavern because they wanted to make sure that they preserved the history of this location. And they have worked so beautifully with the gay community over the last 4 years to keep that history alive. Without a place, brick and mortar, to use as an actual touch point, it's hard to talk about history. So thanks, Charlie, Lindsay, and Dean for keeping the history alive and for helping support this event today. And thanks also must go to City Councilman Mitch O'Farrell. Who, when I told him we wanted to do this tonight, he immediately said, "I will provide you with anything you need." And he and his staff have been a huge part of making this evening happen. Thank you, Mitch. Thank you, his amazing staff. I'd like to bring back up here a very brave soul himself. He was the first Hollywood actor on record to come out in the mid-70s, and he made television history in 1991 by announcing on Entertainment Today that he was HIV positive. He's been chronicling the Los Angeles gay experience in his plays, novels, and his groundbreaking one-man shows. He wrote the monologue he did for you earlier, especially for tonight. Please welcome back to the stage, Stephen, as portrayed by the amazing Michael Kearns.
We love you, Michael! You know, I can't imagine a time in the future when things are different. When we have won our rights and we can live as we choose. A time when we can be who we are without fear or arrest or persecution or being afraid of labeled the other. I imagine a time in the future when our voices are heard in government. I can even imagine a time where this district, this block, this building is represented on the Los Angeles City Council by an openly homosexual man. Wouldn't that be fabulous?
Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between, please welcome City Council member for the 13th District, Mitch O'Farrell.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Hello, Silver Lake. Are we as determined in 2017 as we were in 1967? A lot of us knew a few years back that as this anniversary date approached, that we needed to do something appropriate, something proper, something that would pay the right level of respect to the brave men and women in the hundreds who in 1967, after being brutalized on New Year's Eve 1966 into 1967, decided collectively that they would risk it all, that they would put aside their own best interests, put aside their own livelihoods, risk their jobs, risk their relationships with their family members, risk their places in society, because they said collectively we must do something. Individually, we must make a sacrifice. And that's what 300 to 600 individuals did back in 1967, so that people like us could stand here with the LAPD that recruits in the LGBT community now. Yes. Think about it for a second. They risked everything. And if you look at those pictures of the signs being held, you can see a little bit of fear, a lot of determination, a great deal of uncertainty, because they were photographed for the very first time as out men and women, gays and lesbians, transgendered. For the very first time ever, they risked everything. They are the pioneers that we have been able to build our lives on the backs of. We must never forget that. They sacrificed everything. It gives me great pleasure to introduce a friend and who I would refer to as the conscience of the LGBT community here in Silver Lake. He is a constituent in this district, in the 13th District. He is a trailblazer who's responsible for making sure that our LGBT historic areas are commemorated with cultural landmarks in the city of Los Angeles. He is responsible with his leadership back in 2008 that resulted in the cultural historic designation of the Black Cat as a historic monument in the city of Los Angeles, Wes Joe.
Thank you. Lots of thank yous tonight. 9 years ago, we made the Black Cat a city monument. And that took a lot of help and support, so I'm here to thank people, local people. Thank you, Elizabeth Sharkoff, Silver Lake Improvement Association, Vincent Brook, Jim Shippey, and the owners of the restaurant. Thank you, Alexi, for obvious reasons, and thank you, David, for keeping Alexi healthy for all these years. Thank you, Faith, in 2008 for lining Avatar up next to BCC so I could meet Alexi at the Pride Parade. Thank you, Lillian Faderman, for co-authoring Gay LA, historian Carson Anderson, and Charlie Fisher. Thank you, LA Conservancy and the One Archives, especially Michael Oliveira. Thank you, Cultural Heritage Commission, for your vote, despite having to witness the sight of 3 grown men weeping at the microphone. And a big thank you to Eric, and then our council member, and Mitch, the staff person assigned to shepherd the application through. Thank you for your unwavering support. Thanks to the entire City Council for the final approval, which occurred just a few days after the passage of Proposition 8. I will never forget Councilmember Rosendahl coming over and putting his big arms around me, Elizabeth Sharkoff, and my husband after the vote. Bill is no longer with us, nor are authors Mark Thompson and Stuart Timmons, nor my husband are from Chill. Thank you all also. Spiritual greetings to Charles Talley and Benny Baker. You were arrested here on New Year's Day for kissing other men during the raid. But rather than copying a play, you had the courage to appeal your convictions all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. And thank you, Jim Burroway, for writing Temerity of a Kiss, which is basically what inspired me to designate this a monument. He wrote this for the 40th anniversary of the raid and the protests 10 years ago. I'm going to use a very short portion of that. You must remember this, a kiss is just a kiss. In 1967, bars were pretty much the only public sanctuary for LGBT people, and sanctuary is a word that is mentioned a lot tonight. But as we can see, even they were on shaky ground. We've come a long way since then, but in some ways we haven't. Same-sex couples can still be beaten for just holding hands in public. And trans people, they can be killed for just walking down the street. Even now, a kiss can be downright heroic, a boldly radical act. So I'm asking you to do something radical now. Turn to your side. You might see the love of your life or a total stranger. Give them a kiss. Kiss them for those. Kiss them for those who were not and are not allowed to kiss. Kiss them for those who were beaten and arrested for kissing, and those who fought back to defend your kiss. Kiss them because you can, and tonight your greatest strength and freedom is in this kiss. Thank you.
Wes Joe!